We're back again with John for another episode of No Small Parts.
Hey everyone, today I believe we're going to talk about Hattie McDaniel in her only 2.5 minutes in John Huston's In This Our Life from 1942. And at this point, Hattie McDaniel would already have won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar as Mammy in Gone with the Wind from 1939, the first African American person to win an acting Oscar, and she would be the only one until Sidney Poitier would win in the 60s. Um, but it's kind of a sad commentary that even though she won an Oscar, there really weren't great parts waiting for her. She kind of was relegated back to the kinds of roles she was playing before Gone with the Wind, which was a lot of maids and a lot of insignificant roles. Um, and the thing about Mammy, who of course is a slave and then a servant, she did have that one extraordinary scene with Olivia de Havilland as Melanie, telling her about Scarlett and Rhett's horrible fights after the death of their child, the horrible things that Mammy's had to listen to. And it's has nothing to do with her being a servant. It's just reporting what happened and being so emotionally involved in the lives of these people. And it's so beautifully acted, and I think it secured her the Oscar. But she rarely got a chance to play a scene that meaty and prove the depth of her talent. Now, what's interesting about In This Our Life is, even though she's only in it for 2.5 minutes and she has 3 scenes, is that in this very short scene, again, with Olivia de Havilland, she gets to play beyond the servant role. Now, she is playing a servant, but in this particular scene, she's just a mother talking to her employer, but also a friendly employer. And her Hattie McDaniel's son in the plot has been arrested for a hit and run that he did not commit. The Betty Davis character committed it. She's playing a horrible person, and the cops have arrested McDaniel's son, and she's very upset because she doesn't see how this can work out in a good way. And so she sort of opens up to Olivia de Havilland in this very simple, beautifully acted scene about what she's going through, her fears, her worries, and her sort of pessimism, I guess you'd say, about how this can work out. It particularly stands out because even though this is a John Huston movie and it's got Betty Davis and Olivia de Havilland as sisters, as a great list of supporting players like Charles Coburn and Billy Burke, it's not a very good movie, and it's mostly way over the top and extremely unconvincing. And in the center of this, of all these histrionics, is this beautiful little jewel of a performance by Hattie McDaniel. It just makes you yearn for the opportunities that she didn't have. And so it's, like I said, short as it is. And it's interesting that it would be opposite Olivia de Havilland again, who was on the other end of her, that great scene she played in Gone with the Wind. And they were also in, they died with their boots on, and The Male Animals. So they had made 4 movies together. And there were other, she's in Since You Went Away. That was a big film in 1944. But again, she wasn't really called upon to act, just to be warm and again take care of Claudette Colbert's family. And so there really weren't many acting demands. But of course, the audience all knew who she was because they'd all seen Gone with the Wind, and they were always happy to see her because it evoked fond memories of that film that so many people loved. So anyway, I was happy in There Are No Small Parts to pay tribute to Hattie McDaniel because, like I said, we all know who she is, but she had so few opportunities to show her talent. Certainly, the other African American performers in the book who are from the Golden Age, because Lena Horne is in the book, and Canada Lee and James Edwards, and those are people who were trying to get acting jobs in a particularly restrictive time. Once you get to the 60s and the Sidney Poitier era, things start to get a little better, where people get to do get some really juicy roles. But in the 30s, 40s, and much of the 50s, for people like Canada Lee or Lena Horne or James Edwards, as the ones that are in the book from that period, those opportunities are few and far between. So it was nice for me as a writer about film to shine spotlights on what they were able to achieve against daunting odds.
And nice for us too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, John.